If you got a budget under $1.2 million, you might want to consider this resale. Hello everyone, this is Clinton from Pocket View on yet another episode on choosing the right resale. Have you guys been facing this dilemma that with $1.2 million, there's really nothing much you can buy that looks like a home run? Well, today I might have just found you your answer. It is a proper 3-bedroom with a pretty large land size to give and close to amenities and convenience. Yes, you didn't hear wrongly, 3 bedrooms at under $1.2 million. Let's go. We are making our way up north to this sleeping giant of a township called Woodlands. And why do I call this sleeping giant? Well, one thing is the last launch has been quite some time ago, 13 years to be exact. I'm not taking into account ECs of course, but the Woodlands area hasn't been getting much activities for the longest time. Even when there's so many empty plots around the Causeway Point area, none has made it to become a condo, but the sleeping giant is about to be awoken up. Why? Because of the upcoming new development at Champions Way GRS that CDR bought at 904 per square foot per plot ratio, which should translate to the average selling price of about, I think 2001 to be safe. Now keep that in mind for the next few minutes. So what developments exactly should you be looking out for if you have a budget of under $1.2 million? A 3-bedroom at either the 23-year-old Rosewood or the 24-year-old Casablanca, both located at Rosewood Drive. Now, let's whip out the QPE to tell us why. For a change, I'm going to fly by very quickly today. Point number 1, land size, facilities and facade. Both are large plots of land with pretty nice landscaping for a 20-year-old condo. Now, this should attract the common HDB upgraders looking for an upgrade in lifestyle. Point number 2, layouts. Both of them have pretty clean layouts too, and because they are an older development, what do you usually get? Bigger size of course. Point number 3, location, MRT and amenities. Both properties are about 5 minutes walk to the Woodlands MRT and interchange, and also another 5 minutes walk east towards the Woodgrove Mall, where you have plenty of variety of restaurants, supermarkets and convenience. Why do I not talk about properties closer to the Woodlands Avenue 6, where you have the cluster of ECs comprising Bellwoods, Forestville, La Casa and Mikasa? Well, let's put it simply. You guys know that I'm not someone who is very hard up about location, but if the attributes are almost similar, then why not choose the better location? Rosewood and Casablanca are closer to the Woodlands interchange and it's just a turn off the highway, and their price is also lower than the rest. Point number 4, views. Not much views to really shout out for, probably the pool views that would be safer. So from a quality point of view, you are getting an old school development in the OCR region that doesn't fare too badly. Circle number 2, exit strategy. Point number 1, supply demand. For the neighborhood of Rosewood, you are getting only a handful of options to choose from. The newer ones like Park Rosewood and Rosewood Suites are on its own league with plenty of small sizes which tend to not do so well, and of course you have the other cluster alongside Woodlands Avenue 6. All in all, that's about the only options you have in the entire Woodlands area. Point number 2, transformation. Not much transformations, doesn't matter, and I don't really care. Point number 3, schools. Woodlands is not an area popular for its schools, so the absence of a top school won't really make much of a difference by default. And point number 4, which is very important, target audience. When you are in the OCR area, please assume that 70% of the crowd are HDB upgraders. Why? Because majority of locals who are in the HDB resides in the OCR. That's a given, right? And we can buy a 3-bedroom in the OCR area. That is like the ideal benchmark to look at. Why? Because the upgraders who sell their HDB for profits are mainly the 4 and 5-room flat owners, right? What does 4 and 5-room flat owners have? 3 bedrooms in their unit, correct? And what will they likely look at next? 3 bedrooms, of course. So if we can buy something to sell to the majority of the crowd, is it a no-brainer? So for the circle exit strategy and understanding who we are targeting in the future, a 3-bedroom is a clear choice. Which brings me to the final circle, as always for resale, at least, price. Let's look at Rosewood and Casablanca. In recent times, they are transacting between the $900 to $1,000 per square foot, making it one of the cheapest condo around the Woodlands area by virtue of entry level and per square foot. Of course, as mentioned, you got the newer ones at Woodlands Avenue 6 as your closest competition at around 1,100 per square foot. But for those who are familiar with Woodlands, the location at Rosewood is way better. And from a price point of view, it is hard to fault them or have any objections. Which brings me to my conclusion. There's two major selling points for these two condos. Number one, the low entry level. If you're betting on the cheapest condo in a certain area, you are buying literally the lowest hanging fruit. Not only in the north area, but also the entire Singapore. By default, if you strongly believe that Singapore property prices will climb up in time to come, this will move up equally as fast, or if not faster. Point number two, the Champion Way GLS. I want you guys to imagine this scenario, which is going to happen very soon. Now, when CDL launches development at around 2,000 to 2,100 per square foot, imagine what's the difference in price between the 3 bedrooms, resale, and the new launch. We are potentially looking at a 1,100 per square foot difference for a 3 bedroom if you can get Rosewood or Casablanca at about 1,000 per square foot. Guys, 1,100 per square foot difference here, which also means it's about $1.2 million in absolute numbers. Isn't that huge? Well, for starts, most people prefer to buy a new property, but when the gap is so wide, there's bound to be people who will notice this gap and go like, hey, this price is too much. I might as well settle for a 20 years old condo at almost half the price with more space. When that happens, more often than not, the older resale prices will slowly try to catch up with the new launch. It will never equalize, but what it will do is to play catch up. But you know what's going to happen? There's going to be even more exaggerating. Now, you think about it, when the buyers who plan to get the CDL units at about 2,100 per square foot, for example, guess how much they need to sell in the future to make decent returns? 2.5, 2.6 per square foot. Now, if you think the difference of 1,100 per square foot is big, it could be 1,500 to 1,600 difference in time to come. And I'm talking about $1.5 million to $1.6 million difference in about 4 years' time. So do you think your own resale at Woodlands would be worth 1,000 per square foot in the next few years? Or do you think people will spot this massive difference and scoop them up at 1,000 per square foot, and that you will eventually try to climb up to 1,300 to 1,400 per square foot so that the gap isn't as big? If you agree with the above and really can't seem to decide on what to invest or buy in today's high and expensive market, you might be better off buying this than some small lane new launch one bedroom at the same price. And of course, not to mention your rents are pretty high too. Or just sell a HDB at Woodlands or anywhere else, which you know the government is trying their absolute best to moderate its price and invest in this safest bet.